I'm very interested to see how they're going to rig this because Biden and Kamala Harris is unbelievably unpopular. And majority report is in the bubble. Emma Vigeland loves her some AOC. These people are in the bubble. AOC, and I'm gonna get to this later. I guess I kind of spoiled it.
She's one of them.
Once again, as unpopular as Nancy Pelosi and Kamala Harris.
Is she now? Is she now?
She's been for like over a year at least.
Yeah, she's right in the ballpark there.
She's been around, like, it obviously depends on polls, but she floats. There's been multiple polls.
Yeah, she's in the margin there.
She floats between -10 and -17. Any given poll, I've been seeing her go around that number. Kamala Harris usually floats around -10, -15. Like, she's around the same tier. But I see progressives laugh at Kamala Harris. Like, I'll see an AOC supporter laugh at Kamala Harris, and I'm like, your girl is the same tier of horrific as Kamala. That's not what I'm saying. That is what the American people are saying. Imagine being so bad as a politician that you support popular ideas, but you are unpopular. How does that happen? But anyway, I'm gonna go through this story pretty quickly. Biden gets low ratings on economy, guns, immigration. Guys, those are not small subcategories.
No.
Like, those are big, giant circles of the political compass. So you get bad low on the economy? That's giant. Guns, giant issue. Immigration, giant issue. And they're like, oh, man, people disagree with you on abortion, like, or some sort of cultural issue. These are very entrenched issues. But I know one of you guys will try to go ahead, guys. So go ahead.
Well, on the immigration issue, it just shows what little command he has of any sort of narrative, because only someone as incompetent and as non-present as Joe Biden could treat immigrants worse than Donald Trump, but get criticized for allowing open borders.
Yeah, exactly.
Like he fails in both ways. Like, he's actually been worse to the immigrants than Trump. We have more cages than there were under Trump. Not only do you have our cages at the border
they put in Wi-Fi though.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Not only do you have our cages overflowing, but because of the logjam at the border, a lot of these immigrants are getting turned around, and you have migrant centers south of the border overflowing. You have migrants now living on the streets in all of these Mexican cities because they don't have enough cages for them. So you have a complete humanitarian disaster at the border, far worse than anything that happened under Trump. At the same time, the right-wing media has been able to frame it as, well, he's the open borders president. So he's been able to fail on both sides, left and right. Absolutely. To the point where that issue really is a perfect sort of example, a perfect exhibit of just how pathetically inept, this White House is.
That shows the failure of neoliberalism here. To your point, one of the reasons why he got low ratings on the economy, on immigration, is because obviously younger people, more open-minded, are more attentive, progressive voters are going to be against Biden. Because he's funding the border and DHS and ICE $6 billion more than Trump, deported more Haitians than Trump did in his first year, deported more people overall. So he lost the left on that, and then the right will always be against them.
Right. They're always going to say,
you guys are idiots. Right. They are not meant to win. They're here to continue the expansion of the establishment, the border industrial complex, the prison industrial complex, the military industrial complex. And if they lose doing it, who gives a shit? We get the Republicans in and things be better. So it's like that's the fucked up situation that we are in, and people are stuck in if you're a duopoly leftist. Now, just to move on to this part, feel free to interrupt anytime, guys. I'm just doing a general presentation. Just interrupt if you guys have anything to say. But Glenn had like my favorite take on this. I'm gonna read it. He said a newly released Harvard Harris poll demonstrates how radically out of touch the liberal corporate media is with the views of Americans. And not just the corporate media rejects Americans' views, they don't permit those views to be heard. Now, in the examples he gives you, and I'm going through this thread because it's a faster way instead of going through all these polls. But look here, the majority of Americans say it is false that Trump colluded with Russia. So the Russiagate scam that liberals, including the Bernie Sanders left, promote as fact, most Americans are not that fucking dumb. Most Americans see what's going on. They know it's a sham, according to the polls. The only people who think Russiagate is real are the Democrats, the people that are stuck in their bubble.
Well, and if you do present this kind of information to Democrats, their immediate reaction is going to be, God, what can we do about how misinformed people are?
Yeah.
Right.
They'll never take it as a rebuke. They'll take it as evidence of their core worldview that they're the smart, enlightened ones. This is what I mean. Everyone outside their bubble are the barbarians at the gate that need to be either civilized or defeated. Right? They never consider that they're right.
A lot of these Democratic voters are people who came into power because again, if you look at the way they present themselves, these are the same people who helped dictate the narrative who were around during the Bush Jr. administration. And so there was obviously that infamous, well, Democratic voters are smarter because look at Bush Jr., look at who the Republicans elected into office. And because of that smugness, because of that arrogance.
That goes way back. They did that with Eisenhower.
Yeah, they of course. But the thing is, like, they really tried to make the landing by saying that they are smart. And because of Trump's victory in 2016, their whole world was shaken. They were surprised that the American people elected somebody like Donald Trump. But when you have someone who is horribly unpopular like Hillary Clinton, it was simple for me. As soon as I walked out of the Wells Fargo Center in Philadelphia, I said in my brain, there's a 50-50 chance that Trump's going to win this. He could really pull this off because of how the Democrats handled that convention, what they did to Bernie Sanders supporters. And it should come as no surprise that after the failure of the Biden-Harris administration through their 4 years, that a Trump presidency, a second Trump presidency, can and probably will happen. And it will be historic because not only will an incumbent president be defeated, but the previous president will be then completing his second term in just a matter of 4 years. I mean, that is incredible to see in our lifetime in regards towards, again, the arrogance of the vote blue neoliberal left.
And another show the arrogance. Look at this fact here. Americans also believe that the materials on the Hunter Biden laptop are real and are not and never were Russian disinformation. 59% believe it's real.
That's actually surprisingly low, to be honest. I mean,
it is.
40%
because they're not even claiming that anymore.
Right, yeah.
Like they just can't.
I'll read what Glenn says here. So again, Americans view the claim that the U.S. corporate media and the CIA spread for weeks before the 2020 election to help Biden win as a fraud. And yeah, I wish that number was it should be better, 100%. But I remember Twitter censored the story because it was fake. Facebook censored the story because it was fake. Until literally this year, it was considered a fact. And you were a conspiracy theorist if you said otherwise. Yep. That a Hunter Biden laptop, if you disagreed, it will Russian disinformation. He was a Trumper. So maybe this number is going to get better as more people learn the truth, and maybe it takes a while. But I think it's still kind of good that it's at least a majority after the insane propaganda that they did. But you guys' points are also well taken. I'm going to continue with Glenn's thread. The majority of Americans also believe Hunter Biden engaged in criminal influence, peddling using his father's name. The FBI is not investigating these crimes. Joe Biden participated in Hunter Biden's illegal influence peddling and profiteering schemes. A large majority of Americans say they are not surprised to learn the FBI abused its power in the 2016 Trump-Russia probe. Large majority also say they are deeply worried about the United States security state manipulation of U.S. politics. Something that if you said, Democrats would call you a conspiracy theorist, Trump or a Republican, for saying that the Democrats would weaponize the State Department. But everyone knows that's true. And last one I read, and there are a lot few here, I'm going to get to the approval ratings next. The large majority of Americans have serious doubts about Biden's mental fitness to be president and believe he is too old. And I actually want to read this out because I want to warn people not to fall for the goddamn trap that I keep seeing people fall for. Why do you guys think MSNBC and CNN keep pointing to Biden's age? They want that to be the number one criticism.
Right.
So they can say, these people are just ages. So I know it's a legit point, his mental acuity.
Well, you remember before it was the stutter. It was the stutter, right? You were ableist. They took it off that completely. They said, no, it's not. He has a racist stutter. He just says racist stuff because of his stutter. It's a rare condition.
If you can't vote for Joe Biden, then you ain't black.
Then you ain't black. That was his stutter talking.
So Glenn continues, and this is the main story he brings up here that I saw CJ tweet out as well. Cable news, Morning Joe, and them completely ignoring this poll. Poll finds that Trump is being Biden by 7 points. DeSantis tying president in matchup. So the liberal bubble where Trump is this unique evil that everyone should be melting down with, most Americans are not buying it. And it shows that the liberal media is out of touch. Now, the last part of the story, then I pass to you, CJ, for your next few stories. This showing the failure of the progressive left. Another poll. Like I'm like the only one who keep highlighting these. I had a tweet that went pretty viral when I compared AOC's approval rating with Kamala, and a lot of people were like, "Holy shit, we didn't know that." What do you guys think the result of AOC championing every single Democratic Party culture war? AOC, instead of organizing marches and campaigns to end the war for Medicare for all, she having Twitter beefs with Ted Cruz, talking about how she's a victim of January 6th. She's a plant here to make socialism as unappealing as possible, as I have said many times. So look at this. This part made me mad. Elon Musk has the highest favorability gap, plus 14. But AOC is minus 13. Minus 13. Mitch McConnell is minus 24. And if you look at the chart, in the same poll, Hillary Clinton is minus 8. Kamala Harris is minus 7. Remember, AOC is minus 13. Joe Biden is minus 10. And this is something that AOC supporters and the progressives will never do. They will never self-reflect. Why are you guys losing people? Why is AOC more unpopular than Kamala fucking Harris? But you guys think RBN and our family is out of touch for criticizing them?
Well, and if you look at the people with the highest ratings, they're the ones that the elites, the establishment, the corporate media spend the most time trying to do what Matt Taibbi calls putting the ick on them, right? These are the most popular. If you put Joe Rogan in this, he'd be up there too. And then you got Bernie Sanders, who, we're disappointed with him, but he's still perceived as somebody that the elites don't like. That entire top tier are all these anti-establishment figures, at least in the public mind.
Now, I seen a poll where Bernie was like -1. This one, he's +1. So that's around the same margin there. Bernie numbers took in a hit ever since he's like lashed on.
Sure. But he's still up there.
Your
point
is legit. I wasn't pushing back in your point.
I
was just saying in general, people see that Bernie is a Democrat plant, and his numbers actually not as good as it used to be.
His numbers used to be great. He would have been at the top of this a couple years ago.
Yeah, he was easily the most popular senator. That's not the case no more. I think Tim Scott, isn't Tim Scott senator? Tim Scott +7, Nikki Haley +8. Like Bernie used to be top of this list. Ron DeSantis +8. That's not the case no more. But I did not notice it until I did my presentation. Now, look at who's -7. Marianne Williamson. Hashtag force a primary.
Yeah.
Oh my! Like, could you imagine being so like? I would be embarrassed if I was people like Vanguard and many others that hitched their wagon to this clear loser, someone who's gonna make socialism and left ideas as unpopular as AOC has made them. She's not even a government official, and she's -7. You guys want to get behind her? But I guess it's RBN's fault.
Well, it's not any of our faults. It's not Due Dissidents, Hard Lens, or RBN, and I'm going to tell you guys why. Look, all what these people have been doing, who've been surrounding the Marianne Williamson campaign, they've been trying and failing to recreate what Bernie Sanders created in 2016 through Marianne Williamson. But they have a flawed candidate. And I urge everyone to check out Due Dissident's video on Peter Dow leaving Marianne Williamson's campaign. It is embarrassing. Well, not embarrassing. It's actually quite funny to watch all these large channels try and make somebody into something that she is definitely not, and incapable of following through. They're committing self-destruction, and it's a political embarrassment, because if I was in their shoes, I don't think I could even face doing a live stream. But because they have ego and pride, and they think that, and they think that Marianne Williamson is going to be that person, how are they going to explain to their audience as soon as Marianne Williamson, the crystal ball queen, no pun intended, decides to say, all right, everyone, we got to support Biden, even though Biden's drooling from the mouth. It is what we have said before. Anyone that's prompting up Marianne Williamson, bless your heart.
Get off the train now.
But you got to get off the train, exactly. But more importantly is, you deserve that disappointment if you're going to follow her all the way through to the end.
Man, I'll be embarrassed.
Along the same lines of losing influence, because we're kind of talking about losing influence. So I wanted to throw these couple of receipts in here about losing influence, because what's to piggyback off of Glenn Greenwald's tweet about when he points out this poll. This is where you see corporate media, liberal media, all of the so-called progressive managerial class people of the left of the Democratic Party are coming to find out that all of their tactics are wrong. Because what are we talking about here? Impeachment. We're talking about January 6th. We're talking about several investigations. We're talking about the constant on two major networks, CNN and MSNBC, constant, like every day they have multiple stories on Donald Trump. And then we're talking about print media. Yeah. Out of all of that, he's still up by 7 points.